Молодец.
С фильтрами все нужно.
Селфи и пускай нам дословно. Давай, супер, вау.
Что у нас 45 минут.
Было просто... И такой же не оттуда взяла. Давай здесь так и так. Давай издалека разлучишь. Может сесть?
Давай.
Надо уже распечатать. Давай флаг возьмем. И флаг давай. Убежал флаг. Я пойду быстренько помою руки, приду себе. Ну, здравствуйте, я быстренько помою.
Да уж.
Вы еще без микрофона, да? Вы еще без микрофона, да?
Okay.
Вы уже с микрофоном? Thank you. And one microphone.
Okay, we are all good. I guess we can start. So let me invite all the panelists to the stage. Please take your seats. Evgeny, Sergey, Anastasia. You're welcome. Please take your seats. Great. So we are about to travel now to Germany and investments in Germany. Different types of investments, not only real estate. So we will observe all the opportunities which Germany has to offer. And I will first briefly introduce our panelists, and then each panelist will talk a bit, prepare a short speech, and then we will move on to the questions. So we have Evgeny Volosuk from RT Fact Fund. We have Anastasia Amosova from Bronstein Group. Yeah. We have Sergey Chernevsky, representative of a lot of different organizations from Germany. I will before Sergey will present himself in a short speech. So Sergey, we will start from you because you have so much opportunities to
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, liberty means not being afraid of anything or anybody. But I have fear of my terrible English with a little bit of Irish accent. So I asked Alina to help me today to save a few years. So I speak German. Ja, ich bin Sergej Czerniawski, ich betreibe ein bisschen Business. Ich interessiere mich auch etwas für die Politik und versuche auch da meinen Weg zu gehen.
My name is Sergey and I'm in business and of course I'm very active in politics.
Ja, und meine Interessen haben sich in der letzten Zeit auch an anderen Themen sehr gefühlt. Sie alle sind natürlich, oder die meisten von euch, um über Investitionen zu hören. Und darüber werde ich nachher auch was sagen.
Some of my interests, I could fulfill them and of course they have changed and some of them I would like to present you later.
Should I do my speech?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Ja, Englisch. Aber zuerst etwas über eben mein Interesse in der Politik.
First of all, about my interest in politics.
Ich bin in einer Partei, die seit über 70 Jahren in Bayern regiert.
I belong to a party which is ruling in Bavaria for over 70 years.
Und in dieser Zeit haben wir sehr viel in unser Land investiert.
And during this time we have invested a lot in our country.
Und Bayern wurde zu einer bunten, blühenden, immer blühenden Blume.
And Bavaria became a really beautiful and blooming flower.
Aber warum? Und da möchte ich aus eigener Erfahrung und vielleicht aus dem, was ich selbst in meiner politischen Aktivität gesehen habe.
But why? And due to it, I would like to talk about it concerning my own experience.
Ich finde, es gibt zwei Arten von Politikern.
And I think there are two types, two different kinds of politicians.
Der erste Typ, der denkt über seine Karriere, über seine eigene Popularität und selbstverständlich auch über das Geld verdienen.
The first type is thinking about his political career, about his money, about his own talent.
Und der zweite Typ von Politiker, der denkt über die gleichen Sachen, aber mit einem Unterschied.
But the second one is thinking about the same things, but in another way.
Und zwar ist er auch daran interessiert, um Kollegen zu helfen, denn an die Welle zu denken, nicht nur an sich selbst. Manchmal ist es aber so, dass wenn jemand an die Macht kommt, muss er Entscheidungen treffen, die gegen ihn selbst sind, aber für sein Land.
But the second type is thinking about his her colleagues and about that what the party can do for the country and for the people.
Ja, und genauso ist es bei den Investitionen. Nichts anderes ist es auch im Business.
And it's the same situation concerning business, concerning economy.
Bavaria wurde nicht zu dieser schönen Blume, weil wir nur in die, wie ihr auch alle und ich selbst vorher, an Immobilien, Banken, Kryptowährung und alles in dieser Richtung investiert haben.
Would have become this country and this flower if we hadn't, if we only had thought of banks, of properties and nothing more.
Es sind selbstverständlich alles sehr wichtige Sachen und ohne diese geht es auch nicht.
These things are very important and of course it is impossible to deal and to do things without them.
Jedoch diese Diversität bekam Bayern durch Investitionen in Forschung und in Wissenschaft, in die Kinder und deren Zukunft.
And nevertheless, this became so significant due to investment in science, in education, in our children, first of all.
Ja. And last but not least, die Kultur.
And last but not least, culture.
Ja, ich sagte vorhin, das ist nichts anderes wie mit diesem Typ 1 und Typ 2 von Politikern.
I've already told you it's like the same thing with the two types and two kinds of politicians.
Wenn Sie auch in solche Sachen wie Kultur investieren, investieren Sie in Ihr eigenes Image.
If you invest in such things as culture, you invest at the same time you invest in your image
Und in die Zukunft aller.
and in the future of everybody.
Wenn ein Partner sieht, dass Sie nicht nur für sich selbst kämpfen, sondern dass auf Sie Verlass ist und dass, wenn Sie eben Geld anvertraut bekommen und Macht, dass Sie damit was Gutes tun, dass es ihm auch gut geht.
And if your partner sees you invest into things which make things better for everybody, and he will think at the same time you would invest in him, in his wealth.
Wenn Sie dies nicht machen, dann bleiben Sie immer in diesen Low-Profile-Investments und kommen nicht in die High Level.
And if you do like this, you and the opposite of that, especially, and you wouldn't climb into higher level.
Und außerdem verbindet selbstverständlich die Kultur die Völker zusammen. In unserer heutigen Zeit ist es sehr wichtig, es gibt Projekte, wo man sich beteiligen kann, die wirklich weltweit aktiv sind. Und ja.
And especially today, the culture unites people, and there are a lot of projects concerning these special issues.
Und sehr wichtig, selbstverständlich soll eine Investition Geld bringen. Also das ist nicht nur ein Imageprojekt, sondern das bringt auch oft, wenn man es richtig macht, Geld.
But of course, such projects should bring money, and if you invest in such projects, you will invest and you will get money as well.
Aber es gibt noch einen Punkt, den es, glaube ich, nirgendwo sonst gibt.
But there is another point, and I suppose this point there is nowhere this point.
Wenn Sie in Kultur, Musik, Kunst investieren, dann bekommen Sie nicht nur Image, bekommen Sie nicht nur Geld.
But if you invest if you don't invest into culture, you invest into some other things, into the image.
Und zwar, wenn wir an die großen Konzerne und an die Reichen der vorherigen Zeit denken, die vor 100, 200, 300 Jahren aktiv waren.
And if we think of big companies and rich companies which existed and which have been in the past,
In den meisten Fällen wissen wir nur die Namen der Investoren, wenn sie in die Kultur investiert haben.
and we only know the names, and these names are really us who invested into culture.
Also Investitionen in die Kultur bringt euch auch die Ewigkeit.
And the investments into culture, they will be forever, and they will make your name popular and known forever.
Ich will jetzt nicht in die einzelnen Projekte eingehen, das würde den Zeitrahmen wahrscheinlich sprengen. Ich bin da, ihr könnt mich gerne ansprechen, falls Interesse besteht. Es gibt viele laufende Projekte in verschiedenen Ländern, unter anderem auch in der Ukraine momentan, wo wir wirklich damit die Menschen motivieren können, wo wir denen die Hoffnung schenken können und einfach mal auch ablenken.
And I didn't want to talk about it that much because will come our time and time limit. But there are so many projects, and especially in Ukraine. And if you want to talk about it, please talk to me later.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sergey. Now I would like to ask Anastasia to present your company, your projects, maybe talk a bit about real estate in Germany.
Yeah, I would like to say that I'm very happy that we are staying over here, feeling pretty secured, because in the current situations it's pretty important to understand that only like 10 hours away from us there is a terrible situation happening in the country and people are suffering. I'm very thankful actually for your organization to provide even the little talks about Ukraine. And moving to the topic of Germany and real estate, you know, having a bit of experience to sell commercial and residential properties, I would like to say that that is the first time actually when I consider talking more about the social packaging and the securities of the country. So a lot of countries in EU has accepted refugees, people who left their houses because of the bombing, etc. Not so many of them, therefore, receive the social package which Germany provides. So I believe that Sergey would also completely agree with me on that topic, that Germany is a country #1 in providing people with the securities they need. So basically, when you consider your investment into residential or commercial properties, you open up your firms, you move to Germany. The next step, what's happening is that the country accepts you as a complete investor and offers you a social package for you, for your whole family as well. So basically there is this thing about Germany, which not everybody understands. It doesn't matter whether there is a war in the country, whether you have money to invest, whether you purchase something or you develop something, you will always have the insurance package. Your kids will always get an education, not only from the kindergarten, but also the MBA is also free in Germany. That's not often happening in other countries in the world. And nevertheless, speaking about finance and only the numbers, once you do invest into the real estate business in Germany, you actually receive some sort of securities because the market is growing quite increasingly over the last years especially. So the residential properties increase over 8% per year, while commercials are like providing you with just 4 to 5% of yields yearly, but still that is pretty much secured because no matter what is happening in the world, Germany will remain to provide their people with this stability, you know. And I believe that what we are searching for right now, not only in our families and minds and in our lives and money in pockets, it's also the stability. And if somebody asked me where would be the safest place on earth right now, even with the fact that we cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow, I would clearly call Germany. So I believe, shortly and briefly describe the company. I believe we continue with the discussion further.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. Evgeny, could you say a bit about your fund?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Evgeny Vosyuk. I represent Naran Cyprus-based regulated fund, alternative investment fund, named Artifact. We have it's a multi-strategy fund investing in diverse classes of assets. At the beginning, we started as a classical traditional hedge fund, investing primarily in the US market. Back in 2019 and 20, we were shifted our focus to pre-IPO and IPO, primarily of tech companies. Now we're shifting our focus to real estate. The real estate in Cyprus is quite booming and performing very well. Our investors also have certain interest to diversify their portfolios and invest in Germany. So, German part for us covering Anna Stuttgart, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today. But she's on its way, as I heard from Kans. So anyone
She's coming, but maybe too late.
We can also help you, don't worry.
So yes, so everyone who's interested can approach me. I'm going to be glad to share the contacts, or wait for her until she arrives. Okay. What else? I'll also give you a small description of who I am. I run also consulting company, also based in Cyprus, and we help our customers to structure their businesses. And we used to also help them to acquire citizenships until the investment program in Cyprus was shut down. So more or less, I believe it's it.
Thank you so
So
much.
we can continue.
So we decided to move on with Germany as a separate panel because nowadays we feel that investors are looking for something secure. Because in the world of insecurity, turbulence, black swans, every investor wants to have like a safe haven where he puts his money and he doesn't care much that something might happen. So do you really believe that Germany is the right country? Maybe you can do some background in your area of expertise. I understand that Sergei, maybe it will be not real estate, but other areas, stations, real estate. Evgeny, then I will ask you to highlight Cyprus, which is not a safe haven, maybe a risky destination. But I mean, what will be the safe haven for investors? Because we at Alpha Group, we receive like 80% of requests. We just want to be sure that nothing is going to happen with our investments. We feel that investors nowadays are not ready to invest in high risk areas. So is Germany a right place? And if it is, inside Germany, what to pick in order to be secured? Maybe Sergei, let's start.
I give you an example. Bavaria invests in 1/4 more money in science than other Eastern countries in 10 years. That's all what I wanted to say.
And I can actually give a little bit of explanation for that matter. So I believe that starts with the banking system and actually the securement from the government as well. So once you obtain the residential property, as for example, Germany tends to guarantee that your property will be, so it's like it's not an official information, it's just something what happens once you live in a country and you know the people and that's the discussion from inside. So once you obtain the residential property, for example, the German government guarantees the increase in the price within the upcoming future. And even though we cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after, I mean, nobody's secured from the bomb flying to your house. We all Ukrainians can say that. But understanding that actually, in case you lose your house or you have, like something happens with your investment, the amount of money which you have already made or which you probably will be making once it's renovated, because we all know Germans will renovate it pretty fast, you know. So that amount of money is actually your safe pillow for the time when you fall down. So that is why the decision-making process, once you consider Germany with relatively high prices and lower yields, but or Spain, for example, with completely the opposite situation, you probably go for Germany just because for the sake of security. And therefore, financially speaking and economically speaking and mathematically speaking, that is the country number one in Europe currently, which can provide you that security which everybody's looking for. And if we move to commercial properties, that's even easier because we do have the bank securities. So normally, once you have a deal closed, or you open up your business, or you, for example, you are the owner of a building and then you rent it away to the operator for the hotel, you know? The German banks, they secure the operator who comes inside your building, saying that in case something happens like Corona happened in Germany, or like everywhere else, then the banks are providing you with the payments. So basically, there is zero stress on you as an owner of the building, as an investor into the property, because even commercially speaking, the banks supply you with that. Not everybody can receive that that safe ELO, as they called it. Not everybody can receive the bank guarantees, and therefore you start building up your portfolio with the small investments. So you start with obtaining something with your own capital, and then you move further with obtaining mortgages or taking loans from the banks, because that's also an option. And therefore, even if something is getting ruined in the countries like Germany, that's getting rebuilt pretty fast. I believe that's basically what Sergei also meant.
Evgeny, do you have anything to add about the safe
No, I
investment?
just want to ask, so you see any shift in terms of transferring money and concentrating them in Germany? Because Germany, as you said, is the most powerful country in Europe, right? And but in Europe now facing lots of problems, and each and every country will try to protect their own interests, right? So how does you see Germany will act in these days, and in order to attract the investments to Germany?
Do you want to answer? Should I answer? Okay. Well, basically, you know, as the crisis touched Europe, there are a lot of situations happening where the rates of the bank offers, for example, are going higher. So basically, you could have purchased the property and pay out only 1.52%, which is incredible on a loan from the bank. Right now, Germany increased that amount to like 2.5%, up to 3 actually. That is the answer to the question how they actually bring more capital inside, but they tend to give more relaxed offers for the foreigners at the moment than they used to do before. So like, as you know, Germany is one of few countries in Europe who has allowed to do the sales process with cryptocurrency. So that is another strategy which Germany tries to develop a lot at the moment. So basically there is an option right now to purchase a house with your crypto, which wasn't really on the market beforehand. And there were only few notaries who could like offer it that opportunity. And to be completely honest, once you work with a lot of them, you tend to have a little chit chat after the deal. And they say, hey, you know what? But if you want to bring me a client with like crypto, please don't, because that's going to be a lot of complications and extra work. Right now, well, everybody's up for it. Everybody is saying like, yes, we understand. People have stress, they have problems. It's especially those who has invested rather in Russia or Ukraine, and there were a lot of people like that. So we moved towards technology as well. And another example, which is just 2 minutes and then I'm done. Another example of how Germany is losing up their bureaucracy and like trying to lose this control on people. So I opened up a charity fund when the war started, and I live in Munich. So I was pretty depressed from the whole situation, so I organized a school for children who arrived from Ukraine. And there were like a few hundreds of them standing at the conference room of one of my friends in the hotel. And we just guessed them, and then we brought some teachers, and then we raised some funds. And then at a certain point, there is this meeting. It's called Schulpflicht. It's basically like Sergei can say how like complicated it is to receive a status of school. So believe it or no, because we did it for Ukrainian children, because we really worked hard on it, Imagine German government allowed us to call that place a school after 2 months of our existence. Normally you need to have 1 year to submit your application. So that is how Germany reacts. And that is how from every single point, including the money transfers or the crypto deals or the school permits, etc., Germany really tries to welcome people and to increase also the capital of the country, because they pay out refugees a lot. I believe the most from Europe.
Thank you. And the next question is that Germany is so much demanded for investors. They are constantly searching for interesting projects to invest. However, we know that the best assets are hard to get. For example, according to my experience, and I know Anastasia, you have the same experience in hotels, it's very hard to get a nice one with a good yield and etc. So maybe you can, because you are all inside man and you know from the inner how it works, maybe you can give an advice how to hunt a really good asset, what to do, where to find it.
Come to me.
Come to us.
I'm so sorry. I am the hunter, you know, you don't have to hunt. As an investor, you don't have to do anything. You just have to have the will, the decision, and the documents. And from the documents, you need to have your passport. You need to be authorized legally in EU to purchase everything. And then you need to find a good makler or intermediary between you and the property which you want. And as you know, we always try to find, because we worked before, so like we always try to focus on this one request, which would clearly give us a possibility to satisfy the needs of the client. So like, you don't have to hunt anything, you just have to think of who would be the right person to help you find your property.
Yeah, good answer.
Sorry.
Sergey, do you have an idea about how to anything
Yes,
except real
of course,
estate?
yeah, come to Anastasia. You know, you have to speak to a master because of the, ich spreche es lieber Deutsch, es gibt so viele Gesetze und es gibt so viele Kleinigkeiten, an die man denken soll.
There are so many laws and there are so many really different things that you have to think of.
Dass es so oft ist, dass im ersten Erscheinen die lukrativen Sachen vielleicht
First of all the lucrative things they are on the surface.
einen anziehen, im Nachhinein doch sich als falsch ergeben.
And nevertheless, you see later, okay, they were absolutely wrong.
Ja, also ihr braucht wirklich einen Spezialisten für Real Estate, einen für Fonds, aber auch für andere Sachen, weil es gibt so viele Investitionsmöglichkeiten in Deutschland.
But you need, first of all, you need professionals for every single step, and so you need professionals for real estate, you need professionals for other things, because there are so many opportunities.
Die von allen Seiten unterstützt werden, die unterstützt werden von der Regierung. Es gibt Fonds, es gibt Ausschreibungen und auch private Helfer, die euch Geld mitgeben für ein Projekt.
And there are so many people who will support you, and the state will support you, and different organizations, different funds, and of course a lot of private people who support you and donate you as well.
Also einfach einen Spezialisten ansprechen.
But you need, first of all, you need someone, a professional who you can talk to.
Good advice. Thank you. Evgeny, how to hunt a good asset in Cyprus with a high yield? Not only
As
real
you said,
estate.
it's always difficult, yes, and only, I think, if you pick up a right and liquid, the correct word is liquid asset, then you might will not face those drop downs and fluctuations, and you will not be that affected by the high inflation and uncertainty. But as you right said, it's difficult to pick up such an asset, and so you have to trust your advisor, your hunter, and because otherwise, if you cannot trust him, who else could you trust, right?
Or her.
Anastasia is a hunter here.
I mean, yes. So as I said, in Cyprus, real estate market is booming now, but because it's a small island, okay, you have different trends. Let's say, yeah. One of the trends is that you don't have unlimited availability of land, for example. Also, the density of population, when it's affected by the relocation of people that we're facing now, it really affects the yields, the prices on everything. So it's becoming more and more difficult to pick up the asset because those people who has money, right, and they relocate. Cyprus is not a cheap place to stay. It's quite expensive. So they want to park their money, and they're looking for good deals, of course. Plus you need also consider tax-wise. You need to plan to structure your deal, which is also very important. Maybe you need to set up a company if it's let's say if it's and create a portfolio of assets, not just to buy one, let's say a residential property or. So I mean it's quite complex, but what we see now, let's say in Cyprus, it's quite difficult to bring money into the country because of very strict AML and KYC policies, especially within the banks. So if you can talk more about it, how does it work in Germany in terms of transferring money for the new customers who are looking to invest in certain assets? This will be really helpful because you said that Germany tries to help everyone who wants to invest, but how do they do this AML and KYCs? Do they soften actually the procedures?
A bit right now. I mean, so there is a list of the documents you need to have in order to transfer the money from one country to another, but basically it's solvable within 1 day and one appointment at a notary. I'm always telling people from Cyprus that there is only one thing you need to do. You need to find the property and fix an appointment. It will take a bit longer time to transfer the funds, but once you have the notary agreement and the contract signed, that's an obligation which a person who is purchasing something has to fulfill. Therefore, if the funds are coming from the normal bank and everything is more or less clear, as we can say directly, then there is no really a big issue over there. And as I told you, the second option is called cryptocurrency. Believe it or not, Bitcoin rocks. I mean, okay, we have issues right now, but with Bitcoin, but that's not our business. So, like, theoretically speaking, cryptocurrency would be the second option.
But it's difficult to create a source of funds for cryptocurrency, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, this is an extra, at a certain point, it's ease of, but at the same time, it creates a new layer of problems.
Called converging.
So
yes, you do have to convert it, but Germany has created the regulations where you fix the crypto for a certain period of time until the deal is closed. So basically from the time when you sign the contract and the time when you received already the rights for the property, from this moment, from the very beginning, it's fixed. So when you convert it, that's not that much of a loss. Obviously, there is a percentage to be paid for that matter, but it's not that problematic anymore. I mean, and think about this. You as a person who probably has a portfolio of clients, let's say you have 50 people. If the first one starts, that might be difficult. So we're gonna learn by doing. That's how the majority of people develop their skills. So we start with one and then the second one, and then when we do 10 deals, I believe we can call ourselves an experts. And that would be much easier.
very good approach.
You want it, you take it.
Thank you for answering. And also, I'm sure you all know about the book about Black Swan, Nassim Taleb, and that's what we constantly see happening. What about Germany? What kind of Black Swan appears there? And if talking about the past, maybe you can mention something into the real estate or other type of assets, what actually happened to Germany, these kind of things, or it never happened and it's so secure and so peaceful that no one have to worry about it. Anastasia?
I think I would give a word to Sergey.
Yes,
I believe we want to hear his opinion here.
About Black Swan. Wisst ihr, ich bin ehrlich gesagt sehr optimistisch eingestellt.
Honestly, I'm really optimistic,
Zumindest was Deutschland dann betrifft.
especially concerning Germany.
Ich erzähle dazu eine kleine Geschichte, die eigentlich dann für mich sprechen wird, diese Geschichte.
I just like to tell a little story.
Es gab einen Wirtschaftsminister in Deutschland, er hieß Theodor Weichen.
There was a minister of economy, and his name is Theodor Weichel.
Und er ist dafür verantwortlich, unter anderem, aber mit wirklich starkem Ausmaße, dass wir in Europa einen Euro haben. Und selbst den Namen Euro, das kam von ihm.
And he was responsible for the introduction of euro and even the name euro. It was created by him.
Und da erzählte er mir eben diese Geschichte.
And he told this story to me.
Ohne jetzt die Namen zu sagen, ein Mann ging auf einen Friedhof, um seinen im Zweiten Weltkrieg gefallenen Bruder zu besuchen.
And okay, I don't want to mention the names. And one man, he went to cemetery just to show his honor to his brother who died during the Second World War.
Und als er eben am Grab stand, kam ein junger Mann zu ihm und sagte, wissen Sie, es musste nicht passieren.
And as he was standing at the grave, one young man came to him and told him, okay, you know, everything what happened, it should have happened.
Und es wird auch in Deutschland sowas nie wieder passieren. Wegen einem Euro, was Sie in der Tasche haben.
And only because of that, what you have in pocket.
Der Mann hat eine Euro-Münze, das ist eigentlich egal welche, rausgezogen.
And this man just shot euro, and only €1.
Und fragte, warum konnte mein Bruder dann nicht fallen, wenn wir damals dieses Euro hätten.
And why shouldn't my brother have died if we had this euro?
Und zwar, der junge Mann sagte ganz einfach, früher, wenn Sie diese Münze anschauen, auf beiden Seiten hatten wir einen nationalen Symbol.
And you know, if you look at this coin, and you know, it is from both sides, and it was different, and every country has its national sign.
Und heute, wenn Sie eine Euro-Münze umdrehen, Sie sehen auf einer Seite die Karte von Europa und auf der anderen Seite eben ein nationales Symbol.
And today, if you look at this euro, you see on one side you see the map of Europe, and on the other side you see the national symbol.
Und genauso ist es mit unserem Denken. Früher dachten wir nur national und jetzt denken wir national und international.
And the same thing is with our way of thinking. In the past, we used to think nationally, and today we think and we are thinking internationally.
Und darum ist jetzt Deutschland auch so aktiv in der Hilfe für andere Länder, sei es Ukraine, Afrika, Afghanistan etc.
And that's why Germany is so active concerning different countries. It doesn't matter whether it is Ukraine or Afghanistan, Africa and all other countries.
Und wegen dieser neuen Denkweise bin ich zuversichtlich, dass durch diese internationale Zusammenhalt
And due to this new way of thinking, due to this way of thinking internationally, I'm pretty convinced
dass alle Black Swans, die uns antreffen, die wir finden, wir eben gemeinsam bekämpfen und dass wir da eben in die gute Zukunft damit durchgehen.
and all these black ones, which might happen in the future, all together we will overcome them and we will find the solution to lose them.
Thank you, Evgeny. Anastasia, would you like to add something?
Well, as long as you ask me, I can always say something. I'm the one person here who always talks. Well, I don't know. I think that, to be completely honest, I believe that Sergei was completely correct when he said that there was this nice phrase where, like, we were thinking about our nationality, and right now we do start thinking internationally. And that touches everything, politics, economics, that touches the relationship between people. And if you ask me about Germany exactly, I would say that not only Germany, but the whole DACH region, that state in certain way, it is existing with certain rules and certain policies and certain morals. And after 50 years and way after us, it will still remain the same. Because I believe that's the country which managed to build up their own perspective on everything, which comes across every single nationality and every single other country. And therefore they can keep their traditions. So their views and their abilities to think, like the way they create everything around them, is shouting out loud that they want to be in peace with everybody else. So as long as the country is searching for peace nowadays, I believe they will not change anything about themselves and they will not fall down. Of course, if we're gonna have a few other crazy peoples around us, maybe something's gonna happen. But from that, we cannot get any securities, any insurances. Rather than that, I believe Germany was Germany and will still be Germany. Thank you.
Thank you, Evgeny. What about black swans in Cyprus? Do they exist?
Well, it happened a few times in the recent decade, I should say. Well, everybody remembers the banking crisis in Cyprus back in 2013. This was one of those which hit a lot, and basically now the banking system in Cyprus is it's very difficult to bring back the reputation it had before. Another one, it faced, it's supposed, there were some signs of black swan, and there are actually now because of real estate prices which are even comparable with prices in Monaco or extremely expensive per square meters, and but at the same time, when you see such a demand, I mean, it's difficult to predict how long it will continue, and whether it's a black swan, a bubble, or it's just a normal trajectory. So, but in general, of course, Cyprus is a small country, and it's affected. One of the biggest parts of its GDP, of course, is tourism. And during the last few years, during pandemic, it suffered a lot because of everybody was staying home, right? So I mean, it's local things. I mean, local swans, which could happen, I think, in every country, more or less. Maybe they're not the same; they're different. but still it's difficult to predict and difficult to be ready for it. The other thing I would like to say is Cyprus is very depend on the EU finance. This is also very important for them, so they try to fulfill all the EU rules and all the EU regulations, and because it's a small economy, it relies on EU support a lot. Not like probably Germany, which provides support to everyone. Right? So it's it's a completely different story. When we have a solid, competitive and leading market, and we compare it to a small island, basically, right? It's two different stories. When you consider long-term investments, and you have to, and if you're a conservative investor, right, of course you will pick up the most solid one, which you believe will bring proper returns in the long time run.
Thank you so much for answering. So far, I don't have any more questions, but maybe someone wants to ask something interested in Germany, so please feel free. If you don't, then I would like to thank you so much for being with our panel. We have a lot of insights, interesting information, so thank you for sharing. And that's the end of our conference. I would like to thank you so much for coming and for listening. And the next World Economic Forum is happening next January, because it's normally a January event. So hopefully seeing you next January here in Davos. Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite you to have coffee and networking and meet each other. We still have time, so
Будет неловко. Давайте контактами обменяемся.
Здравствуйте. У меня сейчас мне надо позвонить. У меня, по идее, встреча двумя этажами выше должна была быть в час.